ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुराः सुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. So now we are almost coming to the end of the 6th chapter. And in the last session, we saw that Arjuna had two very, very valid doubts. The first doubt was that how to get into this mode of dhyanam when the mind is really so turbulent and all the time flying out. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna, he said. And then for that, Lord Krishna gave an answer in the form of two tools or two upayas, which are to be practiced again and again. Abhyasena Vairagyena, he said. Abhyasa and Vairagya are the two instruments by which you can try to and ultimately you will be successful in abiding in this Nididhyasanam or Dhyana. Abhyasa means again and again and again going back to the method of Dhyanam. If necessary, one may have to go back to Upasana on Saguna Ishvara or Ishtadevata Upasana in the form of either, Manasa Japa or in the form of Manasa Puja. And then again and again try to get the mind back, Vasham, have the mastery over the mind to abide in the Nididhyasanam and abide, focus, concentrate one's mind on the object of meditation, which is here in Nididhyasana. It is nothing but the Atma Swarupa. So these two tools or these two upayas he told about how to manage a mind which is difficult. It's not going to happen in just, one or two sessions. In the sense, in one or two meditation or Nididhyasana sessions, it's not going to happen. It may take months or even years to have the capacity to focus the mind on the dhyayam or the object of Nididhyasanam. And one has to be really patient with this abhyasa and vairagya, which I've discussed quite, in detail in the last session. And then the next very valid question of Arjuna was that, see, if a person is already an arudha, he is no longer an arurukshu, he is an arudha in dhyana yoga. That means he has already gone through all the preparations, the preparatory sadhanas in the form of Chitta Shuddhi by following Karma Yoga, Chitta Naishchalyam by following Upasana Yoga. He has done enough of Shravanam and Mananam, and now he's Arudha or established in Nididhyasana or Dhyana Yoga. He's literally on the last step. He just has to lift his foot and keep it on the other side. That's it. But then, at such a time also, it is possible that a dhyana yogi may slip from yoga. What kind of yoga? Dhyana yoga or nididhyasana. Either because of the physical reasons or because of mental, emotional, memory, whatever it is, the person may slip down. So, this yogi who has actually made the Purushartha Nishchaya of moksha, given up all the other purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, and he has committed himself to a lifestyle of a karma yogi, an upasaka, and a jnana yogi, and now he's on the last step almost to get the phalam of dhyana yoga in the form of samyak darshanam. And at such a time, if this person is not able to make it for any reason, then is he not a person who has neither got the phalam of the other three purusharthas, nor has he got the samyak darshana phalam of dhyana yoga? What happens to such a person? Is he like a small cloudlet actually which has disintegrated, which has come out of the main body of the cloud and gets disintegrated because by itself it is not able to flow along with the wind current? It is not possible. Will the situation of this dhyana yogi be something like that? That is Arjuna's doubt, which is very valid. And what did Krishna say? He said, no. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit in 40th verse. This auspicious journey, this is the most auspicious thing, the most auspicious goal, or the most auspicious end of human janma, human life. And therefore, anything which has been started, even a few steps taken in this regard, they do not get wasted. There is no durgati for this effort at all. That's why I gave the example of what in the 45th verse of the second chapter Krishna said, Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So even a little bit of effort on this moksha purushartha marga, it does not get wasted at all. What happens to such a dhyana yogi? And what did Krishna say? He said that the very punya of going through this entire journey and also the sanchita punyas accrued in the previous lives, if they have to be worked out, such a yogi may probably go to travel to higher lokas after the body falls, after the death of this particular body, and work out the punya karmas. And then at the right time, he comes back into Manushya Janma in two circumstances, either of the two circumstances. One is in a family which has got value for this particular moksha purushartha, at the same time, a family where there are the Vibhutimat family, in the sense resourceful family, where this person does not have to really think too much about maintaining his life. And such a person, such a family probably is going to help him to start, those who have a value, those who are encouraging this person to go further. That is one particular situation. The second situation is that this person may be born in the families of very yogis themselves. There may be jnanis in that family. There may be acharyas in that particular family. Maybe either as a son of a rishi or acharya, a grahastha, acharya, or even he may be born, in, the kula of, people who have been jnanis, who are karma yogis, upasakas. So here, right from the childhood, he has got that advantage. He's got that advantage of starting. And what here he says is, Lord Krishna says is, in any of such two situations, in the 43rd verse, which we ended in the last class, he said, Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhate paurva dehikam. Paurva dehikam means the previous life, wherever he had stopped this particular prayatnam of this dhyanam as a dhyana yogi, he gets connected. The buddhi gets connected to wherever it had stopped. He picks up, the buddhi picks up the strings from wherever this effort was stopped. And yatate cha tato bhuyah. Again he starts the effort. He again starts the effort to be a dhyana yogi. Now, whether in this life itself, in that particular life itself, he will get the phalam of samyak darshanam, or if not, he's a yoga bhrashta again. This person who has not made it to samyak darshanam, at the same time, he does not have any kind of results or phalam of the other three purusharthas. Such a person is called as a yoga bhrashta or ubhaya bhrashta. And such a person, in one of the situations, he will keep trying again and again. If he is a yoga bhrashta again this will give him an opportunity to come back to where he had started. There is no loss, there's no going back again. And then such a person continues to make that effort, and with this effort, samsiddhau bhuyah samsiddhau yatate. Okay, bhuyah yatate, for what purpose? Samsiddhau, to get this samsiddhi means what? The jnana phalam, the dhyana phalam, which is in the form of samyak darshanam, which we saw in the last class, and before that also in the last two sessions we saw what is this samyak darshanam, sarvatra samadarshana we saw. So hey Kurunandana, hey Arjuna, don't be worried that you are going to lose whatever you had already started. You'll pick up from where you had left behind. How does it pick up? How does he pick up? In the next verse, in the 44th verse, Krishna says, Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate hyavashopi saha jignasurapi yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. So he says, Purva abhyasena, that abhyasa, or that particular, way of getting into the dhyanam, the prayatnam that he has done earlier, the effort that he has put in the earlier lives, that purva abhyasa, that literally pulls him, avashaha api hriyate, though he may not know himself as to why, this is pulling him. See, the first thing is that a person should be lucky to born in a culture where there is a value for moksha. Supposing I have a lot of material punya, if I am born in a sheikh's family in Saudi Arabia, how am I going to continue this? Because there is no value. I should be born in a culture, whichever culture it is, wherever, whichever country, where there is a value for this culture, and in a family which values this particular pursuit. And what happens here? Purva abhyasena, that previous vasanas of the effort which I have put in my previous life, hriyate, automatically this person is pulled towards that. Avashaha api. Many times he may not even be aware. Why am I getting pulled to these things? When all the other people are interested in even as a child, you may see that such a child at a young age, he's interested in going and sitting in satsangs. He's interested in sitting with people who are talking about these things. These things happen. Many of us have experienced that even in our childhoods, that we did feel those kind of things. Avashaha api, that means what? Aprayatamanaha api, even without any effort. And also anichhaya api, even there may be no ichha, but at the very young age, there is a automatic kind of a pulling, there is a kind of drawing towards this particular pursuit. Hriyate, he gets attracted to wherever such pursuits are going on, interested in satsang, having a kind of a vairagya right from the childhood. So these are the things which a person gets attracted to even without his knowledge. And that is what the purva janma abhyasa, or the purva janma vasanas in this particular effort. Then what happens? Jignasuhu api yogasya, and he becomes a jignasu. Jignasu means who? Jnatum ichha. That means the one who wants to know. What does he want to know? He wants to know what this Atmaswarupam is. What is this Dhyanam? What is it that I'm trying to get out of this? What is Samyak Darshanam? This need to understand these things. This called such a person who's interested seriously in this matter, who wants to know is called as a jignasu. Jignasuhu api yogasya. Okay, what happens to such a person? Shabda Brahma ativartate. Now, Shabda Brahma is a very technical term here. You know, what is the meaning of Shabda Brahma? What it is, it means is the Yoga Purva or the Karma Kanda of the yoga, promises certain means to attain certain ends. For example, you do this particular karma, this will assure you Swargaloka. You do this particular karma, Putra Kameshti Yaga, you get progeny. You do, this particular upasana, you'll get this particular phala. So here, Shabda Brahma means all the karma phalas which have been promised by following certain means or certain sadhanas to attain certain phalas. Okay, given by the Veda Purva itself or Karma Kanda itself. Shabda Brahma Ativartate means this yogi, this person who gets attracted towards Moksha Purushartha does not have any interest in the karma phala, promised by the Veda Purva. It does not mean that he disregards it. It only means that he understands that even, at a young age, he understands that the karma phalas of any other karma is nothing but that which lasts for a very short time. That is something which is momentary, and that is not going to, no karma is going to give me that lasting security, peace, and happiness. There is something more that I want. So therefore, he ativartate. He is no longer interested in the sadhana sadhya or the means and ends, which are given or told by the karma kanda of the Vedas that if you do this, you will get this. And this person, Purva Abhyasena, this Jignasu, this person who has become a Jignasu, is no longer interested in the fleeting karma phalas, even if it means following the Veda Purva for certain ends, because he knows that every end by following a means in the form of karma is not going to last. Then what is this that we are doing? Karma yoga, upasana yoga, jnana yoga. Ultimately, what is this? Initially, yes, it is doing, but ultimately, what happens is the phalam is that of not doing, but that of knowing. That means until the dhyana yoga, until the person is an arudha, yes, the karma yogi has to do the karma with an attitude of karma yoga. The upasaka has to do the saguna ishvara or, ishta devata upasana in the way it has been told. Shravanam mananam also is karma. I'm listening and I'm, ruminating over it. Nididhyasanam also is my effort. Yatate, he says, where I want to actually concentrate upon the dhyayam, which is nothing but Atmaswarupa or Brahman or Nirguna Brahman. And here it is ultimately the last step is no more doing, it is knowing. Aham tat Brahma, aham Brahmasmi iti. Knowing is the karma phala. Doing ends with nididhyasanam. Knowing or that knowledge is the phalam of all this effort that I have put. Therefore, he is no longer interested in the karma phalam, which is told or which is given in even the Veda Purva. Then what happens to such a yogi? He says that in the 45th verse, he says, Prayatnadyatamaanastu yogi samshuddha kilbishaha aneka janma samsiddha tato yati param gatim. So ultimately, this is the final step. That is what? Prayatnat yatamanastu, the one who has made an attempt again to establish himself in dhyana yoga or nididhyasana, such a yogi, such a nididhyasaka, who is a samshuddha kilbishaha, the one who has diluted all his ragadveshas, kama krodhas, sprihas for the objects of the jagat, the one who's a vairagi, the one who is able to be the master of his mind and sense organs. Such a person is a samshuddha kilbishaha. Kilbishaha means impurities. The person from whom all the impurities of the mind, sense organs, and buddhi, the doshas of the sense organs, mind, and buddhi, are all gone or diluted. Such a person, what does he do? Aneka janma samsiddhaha. Aneka janma samsiddhaha. This effort has been going on for many, 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 many lives. This is not the first life. We may find that there are some spiritual prodigies. It is not that they have attained this samsiddhi in this life. They have done this particular prayatna, aneka janma samsiddhaha, prayatnaha tato tataha yati paramgatim. And what is that paramgatim? Knowing, not doing anything. Knowing my Swarupam as what? As Atman or Brahman. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma Ahamasmi. Okay, iti, this knowledge is ultimately Paramgatim Yati. That is called as Paragati, or the ultimate end. Yad Gatva Nani Vartante Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. Krishna will say later. Okay, that is, once you have reached this, there is no question of coming back. That is the end of the pursuit. There is no coming back. Then here, actually, now the last 46th verse should be the last verse of the chapter, but then one more will be there after that. So what does the last verse of the teaching verse of this chapter say? तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन. Now Krishna summarizes all the steps of the entire sadhana of a mumukshu. Okay, so here there are 4 of them mentioned here. The first one you see in the third line, karmibhyaschaha. Karmi, here karmi means karma yogi. Okay, it is not a karmi, one who is simply doing karma. A karma yogi, he is also a yogi, number 1. Second one, tapasvibhyaha. Tapasvi, that is the first line, first word, tapasvi. A tapasvi is an upasaka. Okay, jnani, the first word in the third line. Okay, so I mean second line, jnanibhyaha, yogi. Jnani means what? A person who has gone into jnana yoga, done enough of shravanam and mananam. And the last yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna yogi, this yogi is already a nididhyasaka. He is an arudha. So 4 steps, or 4, the steps of, the entire, the path of moksha purushartha has been told by Krishna here. So what he says is that, okay, we'll start from the third line. Tab karmibhyaschaha adhikaha yogi. Okay, this dhyana yogi is superior to or more exalted than even a karma yogi. Why? Because karma yoga is the sadhana to become an arudha in dhyana yoga. So a dhyana yogi is definitely superior to a karma yogi. Secondly, tapasvibhyo api adhikaha. He is even more exalted or superior than even an upasaka, Saguna Ishvara Upasaka, the one who is doing japa, manasa puja for chitta naishchalyam. This dhyana yogi is even greater than even a upasaka. An upasaka is also a yogi, but this one, dhyana yogi, an ididhyasaka, is greater than even an upasaka. Jnanibhyo api adhikaha. And jnani here means after enough of karma yoga and chitta shuddhi, sufficient amount of upasana and chitta naishchalyam, the person has gone to the jnana yoga guru mukhena shastra shravanam. And sufficient of mananam has also happened. And now this 4th yogi is an arudha or an nididhyasaka. And this nididhyasaka is greater than the other 3. Why? Because, this is the last step. He's in the final step of knowing this truth. He's in the final step. The Dhyana Yoga is the final step where all the other three have been preparations. Karma Yoga is a preparation. Upasana Yoga is a preparation. Jnanam in the form, Jnana Yoga in the form of Shravanam and Mananam is also a preparation. And the final step beyond which there is no prayatna possible, where there is only knowing. What is that knowing? Samyak darshanam. So since he's at the penultimate step, or almost the last step, he's almost there. Therefore Krishna says that this dhyana yogi who has gone through all the other sadhanas, step by step by step, and he's there, this person is the greatest. And Arjuna, may you become a yogi. Tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. Now what is the meaning of this? Now Arjuna is not yet a Jnani. Arjuna is not yet a Samyak Darshi. Arjuna is like us. The lessons have just started. Krishna has just started teaching him. So Tasmad Yogi Bhava Arjuna means what? Start being a Karma Yogi from now. Be a Karma Yogi. Fight this war with the attitude of Karma Yoga. Then let there be Upasana. Then expose yourself to whatever I have told you and what I'm going to tell you briefly about Jnanam. And then you will become a Samyak Darshi. That means what? You will become a Mukta. Mukta Purusha, Jivan Muktaha. Just because Krishna has given this knowledge to Arjuna, beginning of the war, Arjuna is not a Jivan Mukta. Please understand that. Arjuna is still yet to start the first step, Karma Yoga. But out of compassion, Krishna has given the whole set of sadhanas to Arjuna. And through Arjuna as a Jagat Guru, he has given this to us in whichever step we are, whether we are Karma Yogis or Upasakas, or we are Shravana Manana Jnana Yogis, or we are already Nididhyasakas. This Gita has, a direction for all of us. But then remember that just because Arjuna heard 18 chapters, he does not suddenly like switch on. He does not get this jnanam. Tasmad yogi bhava. So he's telling him, therefore, hey Arjuna, become a yogi. Start from karma yoga and become a yogi, dhyana yogi. Now, this is the end of the teaching actually of this chapter. But then the last verse, generally in by convention, the Gita chapters, have their last one or two verses, which are bija shlokas, or they are literally the introductory verses to the next chapter. And so, in the last verse, Krishna introduces the next chapter, the seventh chapter. So he says, Yogi namapi sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mataha. So he says, in all these yogis, ultimately as a dhyana yogi, out of all of them, sarvesham yogi namapi, the one who's concentrating on me, madgatena antaratmana, shraddhavan, with shraddha in this particular, sadhana that I have given, the entire ladder of sadhana given, shraddhavan, bhajate yomam. Bhajate means what? Who wants to know me? Me here, Krishna is not talking as Mr. Krishna. When he says the one who makes an effort to know me means what? My Swarupam. Not my physical features of Krishna. No. What is that? Vasudeva. Who am I? Vasudeve Mai. It is said, Samahitena Chittena Vasudeve Mai. What is the meaning of Vasudeva? Vasudeva means that existence and consciousness. Sat, Chit, Rupa, Atma. Vasu means all pervading. Vasu. Deva means that light of consciousness. So the one who wants to know me in my real Swarupam as Vasudeva. Vasudeva simply does not mean Vasudevasya Putram. Okay, Vasudevasya Vasudeva Apatyam Puman. No, it does not mean that. It's not a grammatical definition of Vasudeva. It is to be understood that Mai Vasudeve Samahitena Chittena. What happens? Shraddhavan Bhajate. He wants to know me. Know me what? What is my real nature? Who am I? Here Krishna is talking as Ishvara. He's not talking as a Jiva. So what is this Ishvara? What is it? My Swarupam. How do I present myself? So Ishvara Swarupa, Mama Swarupa, Mama Vasudev, Mai Vasudeve, my Swarupam, Mama Swarupam, Ishvara, Aham Ishvara iti, the one who wants to know me. Such a person is a Yuktatamaha, the one who is actually the best, yogi, the one who is now wanting to know me, the exalted one, the one who wants to know me as what? The one who wants to know me in my real Swarupam and see himself as me. And such a person, I said again earlier, a Samyak Darshi is not Paroksha to me. I am not away from that Samyak Darshi. We are one and the same. This vision of Samyak Darshanam, this vision that Aham Atma Asmi, and to know what is the Ishvara Swarupam. Ishvara also is nothing but Atma Swarupam Eva. Iti, the one who knows properly and the one who knows directly, aparokshataya. Such a person is actually a yuktatamaha. Yuktatamaha means he is atishayena yuktaha, the one who is a real yogi. With this, the sixth chapter is over and the first shatkam of Bhagavad Gita is over. We have to understand that the entire 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are conventionally divided into three portions of a group of six chapters. First six chapters is first Shatkam, second six chapters are the second Shatkam, the third six chapters are the third Shatkam. Now, let us just have a brief summary of all the three Shatkas and then ultimately what was the ultimate summary of the sixth chapter. Now, the first six chapters are basically talking about the individual. Who is an individual? Is the body, mind, sense complex the individual? Or is the Atma consciousness the real Swarupam of individual? So, Atma Anatma Viveka and the Swarupam of the individual as Atma or consciousness is talked about right from the second chapter. From the 11th verse to the 25th verse, Lord Krishna talks about Atma Swarupam. So the individual is taken here and the Swarupam of the individual as nothing but Atma Swarupa. I am not the individual, I am not the Anatma body mind sense complex, but the consciousness Swarupa, Chit Swarupa Atma Aham Asmi iti, knowing what I am, the way I am, to see myself as that Atma and not as as a mere body mind sense complex. That is the first thing, Jiva Swarupa or individual Swarupa. Then to know this Jiva Swarupa, what should I do? I should follow a particular sadhana, right? What is that sadhana? Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga were given as the sadhanas. The first thing was Karma Yoga, where in the third chapter, a part of fourth chapter and a part of fifth chapter also talked about the sadhana of Karma Yoga predominantly Karma Yoga. And of course, there were, in all the three chapters, second, third, fourth, fifth, and even sixth, there was definitely something about Jnana Yoga. What is the meaning of Jnana Yoga? One has to go to the teacher, Tadvidhi Pranipatena, Pariprashnena Seveya. Then, how should you understand me? Karmani Akarmayaha Pashed iti. Who am I? What kind of conscious? What is it? Am I where am I? Am I limited to only this body? Kshetrajna Swarupa, Sarvagata, all these things also are Jnana Yoga, but predominantly Karma Yoga was talked about. Then, if there is Karma Yoga as the sadhana, and if the Swarupam of the individual is the predominant topic in the first six chapters, then the next thing is individual effort. Correct? The individual effort is the sadhana. Okay, so in the sixth chapter itself, he says, isn't it? He says that the person, that uddhared atmanatmanam. Okay, na atmanam avasadayet. So your effort is very important as an individual. You cannot be fatalistic that only Ishvara's this will work. It will work, but then I have to put my effort. As a karma yogi, I have to put an effort to dilute the ragadveshas, to have chitta shuddhi. At the same time, follow the karma yoga, doing all my activities with the attitude of karma yoga. My effort comes here. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Go to a teacher and surrender to that teacher and try to understand what he is trying to say. My effort again. I have to put that effort to go and expose myself to the Shastras through the Guru. Correct? Then I have to make an effort to develop Chitta Naishalyam by following Upasana Yoga. Then Shravanam Mananam also is my effort. If I don't give commitment to Shravanam Mananam, if I don't spend enough time on Shravanam Mananam, where is the question of this knowledge arising in me? So my effort, and in the sixth chapter also, even to climb up Arudha, Arurukshuhu means the one who is interested in getting into, the position of a Nididhyasaka. There also there is an effort. So here, the first six chapters talked about the Jiva Swarupa, Karma Yoga as the sadhana predominantly. Jnana Yoga was also introduced, and then Swaprayatnam up till the Arudha stage also. Swaprayatnam Yatataha api. Okay, even now we saw the last few, the one who has done the prayatnadi yatamanastu in the 45th verse also. So Swaprayatna, individual effort, is talked about here to understand ultimately that Samyak Darshanam what? Aham Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma Asmi. So this is the summary of the first six chapters, first Shatkam. Sixth chapter concentrated mainly on the last step of Nididhyasana or Dhyana. The Swarupam of Nididhyasana was talked about. How to go about the Nididhyasana was talked about. How to have mastery over the mind and sense organs was talked about. How to commit oneself to the Dhyaya Vastu, Atma, that was talked about. And also Jnana Pratibandhas were talked about in the form of the mind moving here and there. Vikshepa of the mind was talked about. So what are the obstacles to the knowledge that was talked about? How can you really get those obstacles away and then be more concentrated on Dhyana Yoga was also talked about. Parihara, Dhyana Pratibandha Pariharas were talked about. And then what is the lot of this Dhyana Yogi if he doesn't succeed in getting that Samyak Darshanam in the form of Krishna assuring all of us, assuring every mumukshu that this particular journey of a mumukshu towards moksha purushartha is never a wasted effort. Every step in that direction is going to have its own phalam, and every time you only move forwards, there's no question of falling back and starting from the beginning. So this was the summary of the first six chapters. Now the next six chapters, that is from the 7th chapter up to the 12th chapter, the whole flavor of Bhagavad Gita changes. Now this chapter is Ishvara Swarupa. What was the first six? The first six, Jiva Swarupa. I am not the Anatma, body, mind, sense complex. I am the consciousness, Atma. Whereas in the 7th to 12th chapter, what is the real Swarupam of Ishvara? The entire Jagat is the manifestation of Ishvara. And it is said that the entire Jagat is Ishvara. But then, is that all? Or what is the real Swarupam of this Ishvara behind all the names and forms called this Jagat? Just like the real Swarupam of me in this Anatma Jagat of names and forms, What is the real Swarupam of Ishvara? That is going to be talked about in 7th to 12th verses. If I have to know this, what should be my sadhana? I have sufficiently made my mind Chitta Shuddhi I have done by following Karma Yoga. Now, to know this, I have to follow Upasana. Upasana Yoga or Upasana. Connecting with Ishvara. Surrender to Ishvara. Bhakti. Commitment to knowing Ishvara. These are the sadhanas. The sadhana of Upasana, Bhakti, commitment to knowing Ishvara. So here, the sadhana will be Upasana. Ishvara Swarupa and sadhana is going to be Upasana. Thirdly, the importance of the grace of Ishvara. Ishvara Kripa. First one was what? My Kripa, Atma Kripa, self effort, my effort. Here, there is in addition to my effort alone will not be enough. I can't be arrogant in saying that it's my effort is enough. I don't need, some people who don't believe. I don't need Bhagwan to do anything for me. I'm quite capable of taking care of myself. No, to understand that in addition to my effort, in spite of all my efforts, what I need is the grace or kripa of Ishvara. So Ishvara's grace. And here in this we understand that the self effort, individual effort and Ishvara's grace work together in pushing the mumukshu up the ladder of sadhana. And then it is like a train going upwards, like you have two engines, one is pulling and one is pushing, that mountain railways and all. So the one which pulls is my effort. I have to pull. Then there is somebody who's pushing from behind so that I don't slide back. So this is Ishvara's grace. So Ishvara's grace, Upasana as the sadhana, and Ishvara Swarupa is being talked about. Let us not talk about the third shatka now. When we come to the third shatka, that time we will talk what it is. Now we are going to go to the next chapter. Before we go to the next chapter, I'll just introduce the next chapter. We'll just say this concluding prayer of the sixth chapter. इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ध्यानयोगो नाम षष्ठोऽध्यायः. Now, as I told you, the last verse of the sixth chapter is telling, Krishna is telling Arjuna, may you make an effort to know me. So he says, Yoginapapi sarvesham, sarvesham yoginam, sarvesham mumukshunam api, madgatena antaratmana. The one who is, concentrated, committed in me, Mayi Vasudeve Samahita Antakaranena, the one who wants to know my real nature, because he has that Shraddha that just like now I have known my nature to be consciousness, Atma eva, Chit Swarupa Atma Ahamasmiti, I have understood. What about Ishvara then? What is the nature of Ishvara? Is Ishvara different from me? Is Ishvara something, another body? Is Ishvara something Jagat is different from me? What is the relationship between Ishvara and Jagat? What is the relationship between Ishvara and me? What is the relationship between me and the Jagat? Now, if I know what is this Ishvara Swarupam, then that is a person, that is a yogi who is really a jignasu, who wants to know my real nature. Now, in the seventh chapter, it starts with, what kind of me is it that a mumukshu wants to know? What kind of me? What kind of Ishvara am I that wants to know? So Ishvara, Krishna as Ishvara says, Arjuna, you do not know what I am. I appear myself in two ways. One is that which is seen as the entire Jagat, the Pratiti, or the, experiencing the names and objects of the entire Jagat. I am that, but that is not my real nature. My real nature is something else which is unseen, which is behind all the names and forms of this universe, which holds on the entire Jagat, which nourishes and supports the entire Jagat, the one which who maintains the sthiti of this entire Jagat. I am that Ishvara. So, Arjuna, my manifestation as an outside manifestation of the entire Jagat is not real me. It is only an appearance, it is only a pratiti. But vastutaha, vastutaha, tatvataha, what is my tattvam? What is my swarupam? What is my vastavyam? What is the reality that I am? If you want to know, for that I am going to talk to you about it. Now, it seems one bhakta, said, because, naturally, in what form should we, commit or connect to Ishvara? That's why we have got the upasana of Ishtadevata Japa, Manasa Puja. So many, hymns have been written by acharyas like, Bhagwan Shankara, to get us connected initially with the name and form, after which one has to really go beyond that name and form also, which comes now some 7 chapter onwards till the 12th chapter. We'll find step by step Krishna is going to go into how to see through the names and forms, which is the superficial appearance of Ishvara, and how to really come to the tattvam or the vastutaha, what is, my real nature. You're going to know, he says. So it seems a bhakta, it's very interesting. It seems he said, Kidrishosi Mahadeva na ham jane. I don't know what kind of Ishvara you. Kidrishosi Mahadeva. Hey Mahadeva, what are you? Kidrishosi, how are you? How do you look? Okay. Na ham jane. I do not know. Okay. Y- uh, 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 Yadrishosi Tadrishasya Namo Namaha. Yadrishosi, however you are, Tadrishasya Namo Namaha. So I, Namo Namaha to you, whoever, however you are, however you look, it doesn't matter at all. Okay, Kidrishosi Mahadeva Aham na jane, Naham jane. Therefore, Yadrishosi Tadrishyasya eva Namo Namaha. For such a Ishvara Namo Namaha. So now here Krishna is going to talk to us about, what is my real nature? What is my, what is my tattvam? That is what he's going to talk about. And the previous verse was a bija shloka, which said, what is that Ishvara whom this, jnani, or not, sorry, this mumukshu wants to know. And in the first verse, he says that Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Maya Saktamanaf Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasyasi Tachrunu. So he says, Krishna says that Mai Asakta Manaha. That means what? You, the one who wants to know me, who is really seriously interested, not simply a kutuhala, but really a jignasu, seriously wants to know me, interested in knowing me. Maya Saktamana He Partha, Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha, who has followed all this sadhanas in the form of karma yoga, upasana yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga. Okay, yogam yunjan madashrayah. Madashrayah means what? That is who has taken refuge in me. Mad ashrayah, who has taken refuge in me to know me. Because to know me, you have to take refuge in me only. You cannot know me through anything else. You cannot take refuge in anything else. You have to know me. Mad ashrayah. Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah. The one who is taking refuge in me, taking me, Ishvara, as a refuge. As what? As the means of knowing also, and also as the end which is to be known also. I, the Ishvara, am the means of this knowledge. I, the Ishvara, is the end of this knowledge also. Therefore, there is no other means that you can use to know me, because following whatever sadhanas, the steps I have given you, the 3-4 steps that I have given you, the one who has committed, the yogi who is committed to this, Mad Ashraya, Mai Vasudeve Yeva samahitena chittena, the one who is taking refuge in me. Such a person, asamshayam, without any doubt, hey Arjuna, samagram ma yatha jnasyasi tachrunu. Samagram. Samagram means what? Fully, entirely. Why should Krishna say that? If Krishna says samagram, that means what you really think of me now, I am not that. I am, yes, what you see in the Jagat as the Jagat names and forms is also me. Agreed. But then, other than that, also, there is one Swarupam of me, which is the real me. And therefore, Yathagnasyasi, how you have to know me, you will know me. How will you know me? Samagram. In all my, the way you have to know me. And here, Krishna presents himself in two forms. The manifest form of Ishvara he calls as Apara Prakriti, and the consciousness, unmanifest, unseen form, or the Chit Swarupa Atma of Ishvara. We can't say of Ishvara, Chit Swarupa Atma, Sat Swarupa Atma as the Para Prakriti. So Samagram means what here? Arjuna, you will have to know what is my Para Prakriti, what is my Apara Prakriti. That's what he's going to explain. Apara Prakriti means the way I manifest as the entire Jagat in name and form. I am Ishvara, Sarvam Ishvaramayam Jagat. I am the very cause of this entire Jagat. Every name and form is a manifestation in me. But Arjuna, that is only a very, very superficial appearance. But I, the real nature of me, my Swarupam, really speaking, is of that of Para Prakriti. Para Prakriti means Atma, Brahman, Parameshwara. He calls it Para Prakriti. But Para Prakriti here means that consciousness or Atma. Therefore, Arjuna, you have to know both of them. You have to know both my natures, my superficial, or my apara prakriti as the names and forms, and the real me, which is the swarupam of me. Like how you have known that your body, mind, sense complex is also you, but the real you is that consciousness behind this body, mind, sense complex. Similarly, Arjuna, I also, what I appear, whatever I appear as in the Jagat is me, but that is my apara prakriti. But then my swarupam as that of para prakriti, you have to know, and I will tell you, yatha jnasyasi samagram tat shrunu. May you listen to me. I'm going to now tell you how you are supposed to understand me in both these manifest form and also in my tattva. As my tattva, tattvataha, what am I? You have to know me. He says that. Then, in the next verse, what he says is, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyama sheshatah yajnatva neha bhuyonyah jnatavyam avashishyate. So what he says here is same extension. See, the first three verses are actually introduction to this chapter. So the first verse itself now is going to be explained later. So how am I going to give you this, or how are you going to know me in both my natures? As my anatma nature, even as Ishvara, I have an anatma appearance and a real tattva. Like the jiva has an appearance of anatma called the body mind sense complex, and the real tattvam as atma, even I as Ishvara have a manifest self and the tattvataya unmanifest self. So how do you know me? I'm going to give that jnanam teham savijnanam. Jnanam and vijnanam. What is the meaning of jnanam? Knowing me as the manifest universe of names and forms, or knowing my apara prakriti is jnanam. Savijnanam, knowing my tattvam as the para prakriti, knowing me as the atma or brahman or consciousness, and ultimately understanding that you, the atma behind this body mind sense complex, and I, the atma, this Ishvara, is one and the same. This is Vijnanam. So Jnanam is what? Jagat Karanah Ishwarah Aham Asmi iti Jnanam. Saha tat Ishvara tat Brahman saha Ishvara Aham Asmi is Vijnanam. So Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Vakshami. I'm going to give you this knowledge. How? Asheshataha. Naturally, when Lord Krishna talks, there is nothing left behind. There is nothing for imagination. Everything Asheshataha. Very, very, very clear. There is no scope for any doubt. There is no scope for any misunderstanding. If there is any doubt, if there is any misunderstanding, it is our vibhuti. It is not Ishvara's vibhuti. It is, our vibhuti. It is our greatness that in spite of such clarity of Krishna, if still we can not understanding is better. Misunderstanding is worse. If I don't understand, I can make another. But if I misunderstand and think that what I have misunderstood is real, then there is no scope for me. So what he says is a vakshami asheshataha yajnatva. Knowing this, na iha bhuyo anyat jnatavyam avashishyate. Knowing this, there is nothing more to be known. There's nothing else to be known. This is the maximum. This is the highest. There's nothing to be known. Whereas in Apara Prakriti, in Apara Vidya, the more I know, there is more to be known. The deeper I go into something, there is more to be known. But here, knowing me, Asheshataya, knowing my nature of, Apara Prakriti and Para Prakriti, there is nothing else to be known. There is no other thing remaining in this Jagat. You will know me as Sarvagnya, and you will be the one who knows me as Sarvagnya, will also be Sarvagnya. Ekam Nyatva Sarvamidam Vijnatam Bhavati. What is that? He asked. Who? In Mundakopanishad, this student, Shaunaka, asked Angiras, his teacher, tell me that one thing by knowing which I know everything and I don't have to make any effort of knowing anything else. So, knowing which, yajnatva, my swarupam, having known both my apara prakriti and para prakriti is when you know, iha, here, na bhuyaha, again, anya jnatavyam avashishyate. There is nothing else to be known. Therefore, once you understand this, this is Vijnanam. Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam. Jnanam is knowing me as the very manifested Jagat. Vijnanam means knowing me to be the very Atma or the very Adhishtanam of this Jagat. And ultimately seeing that I, this consciousness, I, the Jiva, and Ishvara, the Paraprakriti, Ishvara, Paraprakriti, are not different. Abheda, Aikyam, or Abheda Jnanam is really the Vijnanam. So I'm going to tell this in this entire Shatkam, starting from this chapter. This is a very small chapter, only 30 verses, but one of the most beautiful chapters where Ishvara Swarupam is discussed, after which there will be grace of Ishvara, Bhakti, Sharanagati, and the sadhana of Upasana. All of them will just start unfolding one after the other. So with this, we will stop here. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।